York Times. Let's start with what I might call a potential tipping point day for the Obama administration and its Veterans Affairs Secretary. Eric Shinseki will be on Capitol Hill today testifying, and our Chris Freites has received his advanced testimony, which doesn't say much. The committee wants to know what is happening at VA hospitals around the country. At least 24 veterans now have their deaths have been attributed to being put on waiting lists. Julie Pace. Democrats are now getting worried, like they were on health care. You're starting to hear, we're not sure the administration is telling us everything. What else is there out there? Republicans are saying, now that the administration has asked the Deputy Chief of Staff at the White House to oversee what's happening at the Veterans Affairs Department, don't they trust their own people? Don't they know the information they're getting? How big inside the White House do they view this?
Well, it's becoming bigger and bigger, and I think that the decision by the president to send Rob Neighbors, who's an unknown person to a lot of Americans, but is one of the president's closest advisors, a person who's really steeped in sort of management, making things work, is going over to the Veterans Affairs Department. He's going to oversee this investigation, and it's the clearest sign that the White House doesn't trust this investigation that the VA has been running. Needs to put a senior White House person in there, someone who has the ear of the president, because these allegations are incredibly troubling, and they're becoming very worrisome for the White House and Democrats as a management issue.
Worrisome about management, worrisome about competence, Jonathan, in an election year. But let's remember also what this is about. This is about the care of people who have served this country, who have gone to war for this country, who have worn the uniform for this country. I talked to a top Senate leadership source this morning who said they're beginning to get nervous that the Obama administration is trying to spin this, trying to say, just wait, we'll take care of this, we're on top of this. Here's what he said, and forgive my language. This isn't about covering your ass. It's about taking care of guys who went to war so you didn't have to. The temperature rising on Capitol Hill when you involve veterans.
And both parties, too. And that's sort of the challenge for the Obama folks. They can dismiss Benghazi and the investigation over that as some kind of partisan effort by the Republicans to energize their base in an election year. This feels very different. And I think it's going to be a real problem for the Obama folks, which is why I think you see them moving to install one of their own people over at the VA. Is that going to be enough? I'm not sure.
General Shinseki gets grace on the Hill because he is a retired four-star, because he was wounded in Vietnam, because he was the chief of staff who Donald Rumsfeld shoved aside when he raised questions about the Iraq War strategy. But that grace, I think, is beginning to run out because they want answers on Capitol Hill. So watch that one today as Secretary Shinseki now testifies. Let's move.